for us to paint the narrative that Belinda Wilson and Kingsley Ferguson is just demonstrating because they want to, I find that to be very disingenuous. These people, when they had all other grounds to demonstrate, they didn't. And now after 2 sets of meetings with the Prime Minister and not getting the necessary documents, they are now demanding clarity. Caller, you live.
Hi, good morning, Darren. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Listen, I just want to assist in bringing in some clarity in regards to this salary review. I don't think the box is being sent out to the public, and I think that a lot of things are being distorted and misguided. The salary review is an old issue. In fact, this salary review has been brought to the government, the former government, under Perry Christie by the Middle Management Union. And what they had discovered at the time was that middle management and the public service were being lost to the private sector. And they were being lost to the private sector because the private sector at the time was paying more money and salaries to persons who hold degrees, master's degrees and bachelor's degrees. So the then union had said to the government that we need to see if we can bring those middle management salaries up so that we will try to minimize the loss of middle management. Now, the salary review, after previous successive administration hadn't gone anywhere. And under Brave Davis, it was brought to him, and so he looked at it and he asked the ministry to review the salaries. And when it came back to him, and he saw that it was only the middle management, so under his, with his decision, he decided that he wanted to have it across the board, include all of the public service. And so that's what is being missed here. It was first brought to the government by previous union leaders for only middle managers, so that those middle managers that were being lost to the private sectors because their salaries were much lower than the private sector. So now here the government decided that even though we're going to try to see if we can regularize the middle managers, we want to include the frontline staff as well. And so that's the information that seems to be lost and it's not getting to the public. And so I just thought I'd call and I would give you that information and I add to that. I don't normally call talk shows, but I like to have facts discussed whenever there's issues where it's contentious. But thank you for listening.
So for clarity, before you go, you said that, and I do understand the breakdown of how you would have explained it, which makes we have middle managers. I guess at some point we'll have some level of degree. Private sector understanding the qualification of some of these people, and they sometimes snatch them away from government systems because they feel as if they can offer them better, so forth. Whilst that sounds good and nice, I think it's still the responsibility of those who announce the salary review to give us a comprehensive understanding, just the way that you just explained, that this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, this is the way that's going to do. So if middle managers are going to receive this at this particular time, then let's be clear with the staff underneath middle managers to say, hey, we then will come back at this time. So after explaining what we would have done and how we would have done it and why we would have done it, that then removes the debate or the argument that we are now faced with. Secondly, that I feel that before all of the announcements, caller, that would have made, it should have been a level of dialogue for us to iron out all of our grievances and differences as relates to the salary review with unions, so that when we do come out, we come out with a union front support, because we've been able to tweak and to be able to clarify where we are. And I think we missed the opportunity as governments to do that, and hence we are where we are today. that after the announcement, we now having this debate and this deliberation in the public domain, which doesn't help anybody. It keeps a
Yeah,
government. Go ahead.
I think both you and I would agree. All right, successive government has not been very good in public relations and relating to the public as to what it's doing on behalf of the Bahamian people. But what is fact is that this issue of the salary review was brought to the government, okay, by the leaders of the Middle Management Union, right? And so that's the first fact. And so this was brought to previous administration prior to the current administration that we have now. All right. And so it didn't go anywhere. And of course this would have been before Kingsley Ferguson, and I believe Belinda Wilson as well. All right. And so now the current Prime Minister, okay, when he saw the review, he asked his ministry to look at the review and see if we can get it regularized for the middle management. Once that review came out to the Prime Minister, okay, he realized that the frontline staff was not included. That's why you hear him say, out of the goodness of his heart, he decided that he wanted to give everyone across the board in the public service a salary review. Now, you got to give them credit, okay? It takes a lot of time to try to review over 15, 17,000 civil servants. That's not something that you can do right away. The Prime Minister said in his address to the nation, okay, that it is not a money problem. It is an administrative problem. They wanted to make sure when the salaries of all of the frontline staff and middle management is complete, everyone is being paid fairly.
You done, caller?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your call. I was reading the WhatsApp line while, so I do apologize for the break in a conversation. And I do hear what the caller explained. Okay, the salary review application was something that was recommended some years back by Middle Management Union, and after the Prime Minister seeing this document, and then he ended by saying that it's not a cash flow. And if it ain't no cash flow, then why all of the contractors them still waiting to get their money? Why everybody still rack up on government bills? And the thing about it is, I go back to this caller. Simple fact. And whilst you may disagree, I go back to the simple fact. Why we couldn't get our ducks making this announcement as if we're doing something as a government, and now we have to backpedal. Another question I asked: why then, in the goodness of the heart from the Prime Minister, who wanted to give everybody across the board an increase, why was it retroactive for the middle managers and above from 2024 and not cross the board to 20? If there's no if we're not having a cash flow issue, then why didn't we retroactive pay all civil servants across the board from 2024 September to the date, if it's not a cash flow? But we will give middle managers, who we're now giving a pay increase to bring them up to private sector level, we will give them a pay increase with a lump sum for 1 year pay. But we will leave those smaller people who are hustling and bustling and trying to make sense out of life, we would only give them from September of 2025